So a lot of people don't understand what's been going on ever since 2016, 2021, and all that stuff. Let's go ahead and break this down. The whole Q movement. Let's make sure you understand something. There is Q and there is Anon. There is no QAnon. QAnon is a controlled opposition. Didn't you see how much of the government, say, the Democrats, the deep state players, were really against Q? They tried to make it seem like some kind of cult or something like that. That's what they do. They do deflection, controlled oppositions and stuff like that to beguile you, to pull you away from it so you don't see the truth. They don't want you to see the truth, because if you see the truth, you'll figure them out. You'll understand them. And that's the last thing they want. When they start to lose control of their narratives and stuff, this is what they do. It's all a chess game. Just like Q kept saying, shall we play a game of chess? So, even Q asked you, should we go take out the middle, or do we go right up the middle and take out the queen and the king? When you go to chess, you got to take out the middle. So a lot of people don't think that, can't see the justice happening, or can't see all the things that Q said would happen is happening. But a lot of people also don't understand that this is not something that happens overnight or within a year. This is something that takes years. In fact, it is a big psychological operation. As I have stated in my other videos, it's important to understand what psychological operations are, especially the denazification programming that happened after World War II, that was conducted on the German people after World War II to unbrainwash them from the Nazism, the Marxism, to help them break free from that. And so that took years. That took like 4 to 7 years to do that. It wasn't something that was easy. These things had to happen on psychological operations and stuff like that to show the people, to break this mindset that they were put into. So to say, the matrix in so many forms, dimensions within the mind that they put you into. It's not something that can just be broken overnight or within a year. It takes years to groom the minds of the people, or to break brainwashing, the programming that's been done to those people. So when you look at how Americans have been brainwashed and programmed and groomed within the minds of all these elites, Khazarian mafia, cabal, Kabbalah, whatever you want to call them, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Morgan family, DuPonts, all of them, they've been grooming the minds of the people. Not just in America, but also in the world. They were trying to get you to be scared of guns. They were trying to take away your two-way. As I said in my other videos, your most important constitutional rights is your two-way. Without that, how can you protect the rest of your rights? They know this. That's why they've been doing all these false flags, FFs, so they can make you think, okay, we need gun control, we need this, we need that, take the guns away, pass this, make them do this background checks and all this stuff. Controlled oppositions. This is how they control the narratives. This is how they control your minds. Like I taught you also, yellow propaganda, mainstream media, they own all the news. Their friends and their friends own all the news, and they work together to carry out and push these narratives, to push their agendas. It's so important to understand this, so that way you can see with the mind instead of your eyes, because your eyes and your ears have deceived you greatly, said the Bible, and truly it has. And it even said you've given them the sword so generously. Do you see what's been going on since the Act of 1871? Even ever since the 60s, it's gotten worse, and worse. Every generation that comes, they almost took all your guns away. Didn't you see what happened in Katrina? That was so illegal. They threw people in concentration camps. They took their guns away, went into their homes. That was against the constitutional rights. So, it's so important to understand how these things happen. But a lot of the things that Q has been saying has happened in stages. And it has to happen this way. Some people, everybody's on different levels of understanding, being awoke in the mind, or levels of breaking the matrix. So far it's cracked. The matrix is cracked. But not everybody is caught on to it. Not everybody is waking up. And this is heartbreaking. Because even the Bible said so too. God's truth shall set you free. Even God said himself, symbology shall be their biggest downfall. Even he said so himself. His truth shall set you free from the sword from my mouth. The sword of truth shall fly from my mouth and slay the dragon. Think about that for a minute. Even the 7 families that controlled and owned the U.S., they had the deed to America this whole time since 1871. Think about that. They are the seven-headed beast dragon. You know, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Morgan, so forth. But they hide within corporations, so you can't connect them. They're hiding under blanket terms and all these things, and that's one thing they loved about corporations. It helped them hide. Don't you understand? Drain the swamp. So, follow the money. When you follow the money from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, you start to connect it to them directly. But it's not something that can happen overnight. It takes time. But I assure you, everything is happening. In fact, most of it has already happened. You understand that the whole thing in 2021 had to happen that way because that was part of the plan. So when they took out the middle, they meant like, you know, the top elites that you see, that you know of, like the Bidens, Clintons, Bush family, Obamas, all them, Pelosi, all them. They are the middle. They are not the big fish. Even Trump told you Hillary ain't the big fish. Didn't you remember when you saw Don Jr. a couple months ago? That he had a picture on the beach holding the fin of a shark and said, time to bring out the big fish. Did you figure out who the big fish is? The families, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, all them. Even after that, the leaders, the heads of the families started dying. Yeah. Rothschilds had some big deaths. Rockefellers had some big deaths. All those families, they have some big deaths. They lose in power. So let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about the middle for a second here. You know, ever since 2018, 2017, you've noticed that a lot of these people, like celebrities, or say, you know, Hillary Clinton, George Soros, or you know, George Bush, Joe Biden, the actors put in place, actors installed. When you start to understand how everything's a movie, a stage, you know, the stage is set, actors are installed, influences projected, the world, the audience is watching, programming in the mind. So, when you start to understand this, you start to see more. You start to know more. You start to hear more. But if you haven't been able to, that's why you just don't think nothing's happening. Well, maybe not you, but a lot of people think that. And it kills me. It really kills me. They're losing hope and they're losing faith, but they need to do deeper research and stand outside. Sometimes you have to step aside to see the perspectives differently, to get you more optics, to see what you've missed. So, You know, you've seen the appearances of Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden and all that is altered many times through their appearances in the public eye. Actors. This has to happen for a reason, because even Hillary Clinton isn't the big fish. Even Israel itself is the big fish, because they control much of other nations like America. We'll talk about that a little more later. But right now we're talking about the small fishes. So, did you ever bother to look up Ancestry.com? Do you find Ancestry.com to be a legitimate source of information? Even so, Ancestry.com says Bill Gates has been dead since 2015. Look it up. It says right there, death date. What about Hillary? What about Joe Biden? Joe Biden since 2018. You see, these actors are put in place not just to wake you up, but to trick the big fish, to pull them in, pull them in, pull them in, pull them in. The stage is set. The traps are put in place. Even the big fish didn't see it coming. They're stupid. These people are stupid. How many times did you hear Trump tell you that? He wasn't joking. These people are stupid. Haven't you figured out their textbook? They do the same thing over and over and over again. That's why it just never changes. But because you didn't know, you didn't recognize it, you didn't catch on to it. But then you started to understand, you started to see more, and then you see the repetition, and then you know that every trick up their sleeve. Like I've been saying for years, when you know every trick up Satan's sleeve, do you fall for it anymore? No. So, when you start to understand why the actors are put in place, when you start to see their death dates, Hillary, Obama, Biden, all them. Did you remember when they said they killed the 5th leader of ISIS? Right before that, John McCain's death was popped up. Didn't you see the picture of Trump standing over his coffin and wrinkled up the American flag? Do you know what that symbolizes? A wrinkled American flag? Traitor. Because that's what McCain really was. He was a traitor. He is the 5th father of ISIS. Don't you understand? They create all these controlled oppositions to cause chaos in other parts of the world to make you want to go into war. And I'll talk about the endless wars in another video. And please stay tuned for that, because that is so important for everybody to understand in America. They've been pulling us into the awful, evil, endless wars. And I kept getting banned and kicked off of TikTok for trying to tell you, well, I'm on Rumble, and I'm ready to rumble, and I'm ready to war. And I'm a vessel of God, and His truth shall speak through my mouth. So when you saw that, if you remember that about McCain, didn't you notice McCain made the McCain Act so you couldn't see their military files? So you couldn't. Did you know he blew up 2 schools with his jet fighter? It wasn't even planned or nothing. He just said it was a mistake. He was either stupid or he was trying to make a sacrifice. If you know about the human sacrifices and the hunting games and the Red Shoe Club and all that, I will tell you about that more later in another video too. But they're really awful. They do a lot of human sacrifices and everything like that because they worship Baal. They worship Moloch, Baphomet, Satan, Lucifer, all that awful stuff. Just awful demons. Did you ever figure out the Capitol building of the United States? The dome over it? Doesn't it look like an owl to you? That's the symbol of Moloch. And I even said before, when you understand the Temple of Doom by the movie Indiana Jones, believe me when I tell you this movie is not fictional. It tried to tell you things, the truth. And that's what they do sometimes. They rub it in your face. That's what a Luciferian has to do. They have to confess their crimes. They act out the passion of their crimes. It's disgusting what they do. These people are stupid. Even Luciferianism is set up to make them look stupid. But when you didn't study your enemies, you couldn't see what they were doing, who they really are. And that's what Hollywood is full of. That's why you see Mel Gibson speaking out against it. That's why you even see Elon Musk, even though I'm questionable about Elon Musk. He's done some great things, but I ain't playing with the Neuralink. But anyways, there's so many of them speaking out against Hollywood, and there's a reason why. But when you know the Bible well, idols, God said, keep your children far from the idols. Stop lusting after them and all that stuff. That's all they want you to do. Idols are set in place to influence you, to program your mind, to control your mind, to put you in the matrix, in this dimension they want you, so they have control, to control their narrative, to control their agenda. That's what all this is about. That's why Hollywood rose up in the 1920s. Didn't you understand that? That's when Walter Disney rose up. That's when Adolf Hitler rose up. That's when they were trying to really carry out their agendas. Khazarian Mafia at it again. But if you know the truth about Khazarian Mafia, they come and they go. They come and they go. So, middle class, they're put in place, the actors are put in place because they are deceased, Gitmo bounded or deceased. Just look up their names in Ancestry.com, you'll understand. So, these actors are put in place just to show you their true colors. Because even Trump and them said, go forth with your plan. Go forth with it. Let the people see. Sometimes you can't tell them the truth. You can only show them. And sometimes they have to wander through the darkness for a time and times before they find the true light of the divine Lord from within themselves and themselves within Jesus Christ. The rabbit holes, they get deep, man. They get really deep. And the deeper you go, the darker it gets. But keep going until you find the light. When you know the truth, it doesn't work on you anymore. Knowledge is power. But knowledge without understanding is dead. It means nothing. And then when you have true knowledge, then you have understanding. When you have understanding, you have wisdom of it to see through it all. And that's been the problem. Even they controlled education so much. Even when you study the history of the education, the Board of Education system in the United States, you'll understand they set it up so much, just like Adolf Hitler's youth camps, indoctrination camps, to control your mind. A lot of what you learned in history in class, all that stuff in school, that's their narrative. That's what they want you to know, so you can't see. And so much parts of the puzzles was taken out and removed from you, so you couldn't see the truth. This is how they controlled your mind. This is how you were shoved into the matrix. Even college is an indoctrination camp. I went to college for psychology, sociology, and philosophy. I woke up so hard. Like, you know, even the movie Pinocchio meant so much to me, because when Pinocchio went and they were trying to get him to do all this and that, and he saw the truth, and all his friends were getting whipped and forced into forced labor, and they turned into donkeys. Did you not understand that? Donkeys. What's the donkey the universal symbol for? Slavery. Of course, in America, it means Democrat. Liberalism. All that stuff. Don't you understand? And so Pinocchio woke up and saw the truth with his mind. A lot of people just have a brain, they don't have a mind. When you have a mind, you see things. Hey, don't mind me. I'm just legally blind and deaf. I've been blessed to be able to see. Glory to the Lord Jesus Christ for this. I will tell you that. Any knowledge, understanding, and wisdom I have, it's not mine, it's His. I asked Him for it. I sought of it. Even He tells you, seek of it. Ask, and I shall give it to you. Ask, and you shall receive. Did you receive? Did you ask for it? Some of you have, and you got it. Many people haven't asked because they haven't caught on to it yet. Well, me and Pinocchio, let me tell you something. We noticed something was wrong. And I saw all the witchcraft in college. I saw all the witchcraft in psychology, sociology, and philosophy. Philosophy is crap. They tried to groom your mind into thinking there's their truth, my truth, and the truth. See, all that does is self-justification. In the Bible, you're supposed to know the truth. You're supposed to be humble, honest. When you know the truth, you live by it. You abide by it. You don't make your own sense of conformity, your own sense of truth. This is how they make it easy for people that are liars, that are evil, to justify their wrongdoings at the classes and all that. Oh my goodness. Philosophy is the reasoning with the devil in one's heart. I didn't want nothing to do with it anymore. I couldn't do it. Even psychology is such a witchcraft crap. When you start to understand all the mental illness, it's not about the imbalances and stuff. It's about the possession of spirits. But you have to understand the different types of spirits. Not just spiritual, but chemical. Not just chemical poison in drugs, but also bacteria, germs, parasites. All these things, it's changing our lives, and they don't want you to know this, so they just keep telling you, take this drug, take this drug. They steal bits and bits of your life. Even kids with ADHD, they don't need methamphetamine. Did you know that? Like all the medicine they put them on, Adderall, is methamphetamine. You might as well just understand it's crystal meth. Just like these kids, they go through all these schools, and when they're graduated from school, they cut them off. Most of these people move on to crystal meth and have drug problems. Do you not understand this? This also affects the way our brain develops. Even our prefrontal cortex. There's 4 lobes of the brain. You got the prefrontal, temporal, occipital, and frontal lobe. In the frontal lobe of the brain, you have a brain filter called prefrontal cortex. It doesn't develop until between the ages of 17 and 25. And then you have the subcortex and the parietal lobe. But when you're taking all these medication, chemicals, drugs, and poison, it does not develop. So when they put these kids on these medicine, you know, the prefrontal cortex is in the shape of a peanut shell. That's a healthy prefrontal cortex, the brain's filter, which helps regulate emotion, critical thought, abstract thinking, all these things. But when you're on all these things and you hasn't been able to develop properly, or when you're drinking and doing drugs and all that stuff, it just becomes a straight inline tube. That's why all your thoughts, all the serotonin, dopamine just surges through like Niagara Falls, and you have no control. They know this. They don't want you to know it. But the more you know, the more power you have. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. These people do this to make money. They don't care about your lives and my life or anybody we love. They steal bits of your life to make that money. It's man-printed money. It doesn't mean anything. There's a reason why they control money like that. And I talked about that in a capitalism video, how they control us with that. So be sure to go watch that too. So they sold their souls. I kept my soul. Just like Pinocchio. He woke up and ran screaming for the hills and went back home. That's me. My family and most of my friends could not understand it. They couldn't comprehend it. Why? Because they're so groomed in the mind. They're blind in the mind. They didn't even have a mind. They just had a brain. So they thought I was crazy. But let me ask you, who is the real crazy one? Who is really the blind one? This blind guy blind in the eyes, or the one blind in the mind? For years I kept asking Christ, why can't they see what I see? And he told me through the Holy Ghost in me, he said, blind minds are far more blind than blind eyes. I was so blessed to wake up and keep my soul. So when you start to understand college, indoctrination camps, and all the schools and the education system, how they control your mind and all the people and the narrative and what you think you know, what you think history is, that's how they control everything else. They want you to think that guns are bad, so they're trying to make all these things happen. false flags and all that. You're going to start seeing that more and more too, because we're not out of the clear. The big fish isn't taken out yet. The small fishes, they're taken out. Not all of them, not 100%. There's still some. But I know you notice a lot of these celebrities, a lot of the Democrats, they're disappearing and replaced by actors, and you're starting to notice it's a mask on them and it looks so real. Just whip it off. I've seen plenty of masks on Pope Francis and stuff. You see it flopping right there. I'm legally blind. I have a guide dog and a cane. I mean, it's that obvious. If some of the people haven't caught on to that, ooh, we have a problem. But you have to understand how deeply indoctrinated a lot of people are. It's not their fault. They're victims. And it kills me. It kills me. I can't even wake my own family up. They won't listen to me. I've been trying to tell them since I was a little child. It all started when I was 6 years old. And I'll talk about that in another video. So they took out the middle and they had to put actors in place. But you also have to see who they are, what their agenda is, why they're called progressive. Just another brick in the wall, another stone. Another one bites the dust. You have to see it this way, and so does everybody else. Because if they just made it happen like that, there would be a massive civil war. Everybody that's so brainwashed and everybody that's so awake could be... We can't have that. Didn't you do know the truth about Civil War, American Civil War? Too many people died because of lies and all this psychobabble crap. We cannot have that again. But you got the Democrats trying to tell us, conservative Christians, that we, the GOPers, we want the World War, we want the Civil War. What a bunch of crap. I don't care what side you are. I love you. I want you to know the truth. I want you and your loved ones to be safe. In all of us, because that's what it's supposed to be. That's what the Bible wanted us to be too. But it's actually Hillary Clinton and all them that kept pushing for World War. You even saw videos of her threaten you that if we don't straighten up, if we don't comply to their agendas and their narratives, they'll throw us in re-education camps and FEMA camps and all this stuff. She even threatened World War. And now you see World War III. But like I said, Trump and them said, go forth with your plan. It has to happen that way. So you see, to wake you up, to let you know who they really are. But also to set the traps for the big fish. Like I said, some of the big fish is starting to fall. Especially when you saw Don Jr. tell you it's time to bring out the big fish. If you haven't seen that picture, go find it. He's on the beach with his big shark and he's holding the fin and it says, time to bring out the big fish. You know, even they tried to tell you Jeffrey Epstein, what he does on his island and all that with these celebrities, you see, he's just small fish. Who's the big fish? Even Disney and the empire they built, even the richest families in the world, like Rothschilds, Rockefellers, all them families. Hillary Clinton is just in the middle. She's just a puppet. She's controlled too, you know that, right? She sold her soul to them to be what she became. Even Obama was born into it. When you start to figure out the truth about his ancestry and who his mother is also one of the daughters of Adolf Hitler, which was Walter Disney, and Theresa May and Angela Merkel being his aunt. Did you ever see the video of Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, yelling and lecturing Obama like an ant? If you haven't, go look it up. It's important. It's a big piece of puzzle. So, point is, The big fishes are being trapped. They're getting set up, and one by one they fall. All of their agendas, it's failing. Everything they've done, it's failing. Even the people see it. It's unfolding and busting it and kicking his butt. All the human trafficking and everything. People are more awake that they're actually catching on to it more and more in our everyday lives and stopping it and saving children. It's a beautiful thing. Especially a really cool form of psychological operation, psychological warfare technique is weaponized autism. Check it out. It's where the people, like all of us, come together and we share information and teach each other and learn. Kind of like the snowball effect. The more we learn, the more we can stop, the more we can fix it and control it. So now we have the big fish. Look at all the stuff that's going on with the Rothschilds and all that. They even have power grabs right now and transferring of inheritance and stuff like that. Even you should know by now, after World War II, that the Rothschilds are the sole holders of the deed of Israel. Let me help you understand something. I'll talk about this in another video. But the Israel you know of over there is not the real land of Israel. When you look at the encryptions of the Bible, even, I'll tell you a real quick glimpse real quick. The Bible talks about Mount Nebo being so high up in the air, all the smoky clouds, and you can see all of the land of Israel all round about. Go look it up. Ask the Bible where it says that. And then you'll see the description. But the Mount Nebo over there is in Jordan, and it's just about 2,000 feet tall. You can't see all of the land of around about 2,000 feet. It isn't even that big of a mountain. So when you look at Mount Nebo in Utah, it's nearly 12,000 feet tall, and it matches the description of what the Bible tells you. Even in fact, the letter J didn't exist until the 15th century. So the pronunciation was Utah, 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 Utah. The original land of Egypt was in Arizona, and you can look up the ruins of it and stuff, the pyramids. It was so full of witchcraft and everything, and it's an abandoned and all that stuff. You can look it up, you will find it and see for yourself and put two and two together. But at another video, I will talk about the Dasta dynasty and the migration and the Mayans and the Aztecs and how human migratory history had their schisms and they spread out. But you'll follow the artwork, the clothing, the style, the architecture and all that, and you'll see where they went. They say the Mayans disappeared. When you study the artwork and see where it went forth, you'll know. You can track it down, like a hunter, track it down. So, the big fish is being drawn out right now. One by one, they're falling and losing control. That's why you're seeing all this stuff about Israel. That's why you're learning all these things about Zionism. You know, I don't agree with murder or anything like that. There's nothing I want more for everybody to repent and find love in their heart in Jesus Christ, and where we can all come together and reunite and become one with Jesus Christ. That is the best thing that could ever happen. But those people that will not do it, the Zionists. Did you study the Zionism? Did you read the Talmud? The Talmud grooms them in programs to be pedophiles, to rape and hurt and sacrifice and murder children, infants, age of 3, 13, 15, all these things. Yes, most of the Jews and the Zionists, it's not just Jews, but there's people of all race that are Zionists. I mean, Alec Baldwin, he's white, he's a Zionist. So is Joe Biden. Well, was. You know, the Bible even told you Jews are the children of Satan, but what it really means to say the Zionists, is the children of Satan. There's plenty of wonderful Jews out there that are Christians and do nothing with it. But these Zionists, they're told in these books to be nice to people in the public eye so you can lure them in and trick them and do your thing, your sacrifice, your human sacrifice, your pedophile acts and all these things. It is disgusting. It is unacceptable. But they're groomed into it. You know, just like the Bible told you, carry forth not the iniquities of your fathers. This is one of the many things he means. You have to break it. You have to break the matrix, he said. You have to escape the matrix. You shall not find me in the cities where it's polluted, he said. Go up into my wilderness to find me. Didn't you learn from my nature, he said in the Bible? But polluted in the cities, he means seed of the serpent ideologies. Just like I've told you so many times, your mind in parabolic terms is the Garden of Eden. You have the seed of the serpent ideologies and the seed of the woman ideology. You reap what you sow. But these Zionist people, these Luciferians, most of them have been groomed into it since childhood. It was passed down from ancestors to descendants and so forth, and generation after generation. It's all they know. But a lot of them were also kidnapped and brought into it. Human trafficking. That's the other problem about human trafficking. It pulls them into it. It makes them a part of it. If they earn their way up the tier of all the things they do to earn their way up for that power, the ultimate tier for them to do is human sacrifices, murder. It's awful. So you already know Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden and all them, they passed that. They did that over and over and over and over. If you haven't seen Joe Biden's videos tying up underage girls in nudity to trees and touching them while they're sobbing for their dear sweet life, it's heartbreaking. Even Hillary doing this to children, even little girls at age as young as 10. And human beating, and they torture them in adrenochrome. Like I said in my other video about Walter Disney, Robert E. Lee, actors in plays. I told you about the adrenochrome in Peter Pan and Juan Ponce de Leon and all that. What they do, it's awful. That's who these people are. Just like Hillary just told you. She always had hot sauce on it, which was code name for adrenochrome. That's why her skin was so young and everything. That's who these people are. They were brought up this way. They were Rothschilds, Rockefellers, descendants and all that. You know, they have a breeding cult, like a breeding farm where they breed these people and all that. Just like when you find out that Prince William and Prince Harry of England are children, sons of the Rothschilds. You don't believe me? Look it up. Why do you think Barron Trump looks more like Princess Diana than any of those two boys do? But when you look at the side-by-side picture of Harry and William to the Rothschilds, who they called Lord, he just passed away a couple months ago. Looks just like him. There's a reason why. Breed farming. That's how they do it. That's how they spread their seed everywhere to control everything. Even Karl Marx is one of them, which is now their family is known as Slavs. Sometimes they change the name and everything like that. So, right now it's all about the big fish. First, you have to see who they are, how they work. Because when you know, you can stop it. And you teach your descendants all this truth so they make sure it doesn't happen again. So we can break the cycle, break the matrix. How else can we do it? There's no other way to do it. You have to program the people to wake up. You know, unprogram them. Denazification programming and all this stuff. Psychological operation. That's why ever since 2016, you've been seeing nothing but this psychological operation PSYOP as Wake Up America in these sort of things, just like they did to the Germans after World War II, as I have told you. It's the only way. And it can't be done overnight. It takes years and it takes time. So, right now we're being brought down to Israel being Zionists and what they do, who they are. Haven't you seen how they kill their own people? They were bulldozing them. They set up camps, like concentration camps and FEMA camps, these sort of things, bulldozer in them. And then they start attacking other nations around them. But you saw in the Bible prophecy that the neighboring nations, surrounding nations of Israel would turn against them. I know you see that now. I don't have to explain that to you because it's so fresh in your mind. You see it. Hezbollah, Hamas. But here's something you have to understand. You know, America has CIA, which is a big problem. Just like JFK, he woke up. There's a video of him out there signing papers, and he just went, whoa, what? He woke up and realized the truth about the Illuminati, Kabbalah, and Khazarian Mafia. They use CIA too to control all of that. Israel has its own form of CIA. It's called Mossad. That's why a lot of the Congress and Senates and all that, you have to understand dual citizenship. They use Mossad, spy agents, secret agents, double agents, to control everything else. Like I've told you, just like corporation, one company owns another company and another, and they always back up to, just like when you study BlackRock and Vanguard and the JP Morgan family owning all this and this and this and this, and you start to find out, all the train derailments that's been going on in the past couple of years. Did you look up who owned those trading companies? BlackRock, Vanguard. Follow the money, follow the ownership. It's trails, track it, just like a hunter, track it. There's signs and tracks everywhere, just follow it. So when you follow from the CIA and the politicians and the Congress, all them, you follow them back to the Mossad. Steve Bannon, forget him. He is a secret agent for Mossad. He is a Mossad secret agent. Don't you understand? Forget him. So a lot of the Congress and Senates, they're owned. But some of them don't even project themselves into what they really are. Like Bernie Sanders, there's stuff about him that he was thrown into a basement where the Mossad operates, and they make them rape children and do certain things and stuff where they kill their family. As you saw, Thomas Massie was trying to go after the IRS and Federal Reserves to abolish it and all that. And then he spoke out against Israel and Mossad. What happened? His wife suddenly ended up dead. Do you know who did that? Mossad agents, Israel, CIA. During the swamp. You're seeing the swamp creatures. When you start to put it all together, you start to understand that, yeah, this couldn't happen overnight. Things are being done. I see it. It is true. It just takes years. So, when you start to understand Mossad in Israel and its control, the Babylonian Empire 2.0 and the daughter of Babylon and all these things, you start to understand. Don't you see how much the politicians in the U.S. are devout to protect Israel, its government, its Zionism? Because now you know the secret agents of Mossad intelligence agency. Even Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad secret agent. You have to understand how they work. You have to know your enemies. There's no other way to do it. This is the only way. So the big fish is being brought out, being drawn out from dark to light, being pulled into the troughs, pulled into the light, so you can see how they work, who they are. With the actors of the middle class people, of the deep state players, it's all a chess game. You know, it's all a chess game. Shall we play a game of chess? All the middle chess, Bonds, Bishop, all them. That was Hillary Clinton and all them. They're all being brought out. If you haven't seen them, heard the Bronson case, what that's going to do is remove a lot of these Mossad agents with dual citizenship and all that in the Congress and Senate. Drain the swamp. Drain the swamp. Get rid of them. Arrest them. It's gonna be epic. You see, I love this one song by that Nirvana covered. Plato. There's nothing but a bucket and a mop up there. In a book of illustrated books about birds. You see a lot up there, but don't be scared. Who needs action when you got words? When you have truth, you know, when you have truth, when you have the Bible, when you know God's truth. Just like all these laws and stuff being done to undo everything they've done. Like the reversement and overturning of Chevron Act. What a big win. I'll talk about that in another video. We've done nothing but win, winning and winning. Because if that Chevron Act wasn't undone, they would have thrown us in the camps that Hillary told us about, concentration camps. But that wasn't gonna happen until November or so, and so most of us would have been lined up for the slaughter. And you know what's bad? All the taxes, they take all the taxes and use it against us. We pay for our own slaughter. Didn't you ever notice? In 2015, Obama, he ordered over 33,000 guillotines for all the FEMA camps. We paid for it. We had blood on our hands because of that. We even knew what God said to Matthew about taxes and all that stuff. We knew how we felt about it. It's because it's used against us. We pay for our own slaughter. We the people are supposed to be the government. We the people are supposed to have the wealth. But because of capitalism, we give them the power by letting them print the money. And then we work our lives and give them our minds and our time as slaves to be that. And so they have power over us. It wasn't supposed to be that way. This is part of the matrix. Break it. So, more and more, you're being brought to the precipice so you can see how they control everything, how they regulate everything in your life. Why we're slaves, money, everything. You have to be brought to the precipice so you know who your precipice is, how they work. You understanding me so far? It's the only way. The only way. So Q did not fail. This is how it was planned as a psyop to help you wake up and wake up everybody else who's slow to catch on or who is denying it or keeps turning a blind eye and all that because they're too scared. Yes, it's scary when you go down these rabbit holes. But we have to do it. One by one, we're waking up. One by one, we're cracking that matrix. One by one, we're becoming free. But what you don't understand is, after 2021, you saw Trump put the coffin out in front of the White House. You saw it. Did you not understand the calm to it? Did you not understand what he was telling you? The White House is dead. There's a reason why it's not DC anymore. They even tried to tell you they were going to make it a state or whatever. It's now, when you look at the map, it's just known as Washington. The swamp is drained, but it's just a matter of time for you to wake up and see it. Even the executive orders Trump signed before he left that phony, nasty, Luciferian White House, what is built based on satanic architecture numbers. He signed the Nisara Act. So like I told you about JFK, when he woke up and saw the truth, he understood it was the CIA and all this and the Mossad and all that. He saw the swamp. He saw the swamp. So he had and Nisara put in place. The Nisara was going to be the sword to the dragon. National Economic Security and Reformation Act. It would have killed CIA. It would have killed NASA. It would have killed federal taxes. It would have killed the Federal Reserve, IRS, all of that. In the capitalism, all of that. We would have been free. Because he moved swiftly so fast, they killed him 2 days before he could sign it. He almost did it. Almost. And that's what kills me. Just 2 days before he was going to sign that and liberate us, they killed him. Did you know when they killed him, Joe Biden was 26 years old? Did you understand that Trump made an executive order for them to release, declassify the data, the information they had on the assassination of JFK so you could see who did it? Who paid for it? Who organized it? CIA, Mossad, and Democrats. All these, and the rhinos. They didn't want to lose power. They wanted that power. They wanted that fake money. That fake money ain't nothing but play Monopoly money. You ever grow up and you see a bunch of kids playing with Monopoly money and trading it, and you're on the outside and you're like, oh, that's so cute, isn't it? Yeah, that was a reflection of you and your life, which you are to them. But you make them rich. You make them the wealthy ones. You give them so much power. Like the Lord said, you give them the sword so generously. Enough is enough. So they wouldn't lose it. They didn't want to lose it. That's why when they start to lose control of the narrative, they grapple control of it all, and they do all these things. And you're going to see a bunch of false flags happening because the big fish is still not done. False flags. You have to understand AI. You have to understand what CGI is. Computer-generated images. This is what they use to push out false narratives, false flags, all these things to control the news in your mind, to push you back in their direction. Yes, the dark forces have joined to keep you in the matrix, to keep you in that dimension of mind control, but nothing can stop what's coming. Nothing is greater than God, Jesus Christ. Nothing is more powerful because Jesus Christ is the one and the only, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the ending, and the only. Nothing can stop what's coming. Glory unto him forever and ever. When you start to understand the patterns of all these things I've just told you about in the Bible, even the biblical history is so imperative to understand. The Bible tells you in the Revelations, every 1,000 years, Satan, the dragon, is cast into the abyss, the cave, and the angel locked it up and tosses away the key. And there's 1,000 years of peace and prosperity. After all that, for a time, the dragon is released for a short time to do his thing. And it happens over and over and over. The cycle. Because God's kingdom is everlasting and forever. But they took away your understanding. And your understanding of parables and metaphors. So you couldn't see it. And they do everything to put things in our lives to make us not believe. That's why there's so many non-believers and stuff like that. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. They don't know because they were pushed that way. They were groomed to not believe in all these things that are put in their places. The seed of the serpent. That's what it does. That's why it's so important to understand what it all is so they can wake up and find God. So, one by one, we, the people in Jesus Christ, are becoming one, and we win. And the big fish is being drawn out. And you're seeing how they work one by one. At some point, everybody will know the Lord God, Jesus Christ, just like the Bible told you. We're ending the near of that cycle. That's why you see the demons and all the dark forces freaking out. When they lose control, what do? They grapple for as much as they have left and do all this crazy chaos and everything. That's what it's all about. That's what this is all about. When you understand this, you see how much winning we've been doing. You see how much losing they've been doing. Satan shall always lose. He is the loser, the pathetic one. Of course, he's going to try and take everybody to hell that he can. But hell is only meant for Satan only. So don't let him take you. Knowledge is power. Let's give you the sword back. Please know, everything's happening. Everything's being done. But when you start to understand and really see it, what a beautiful time to be alive. I love you all. God bless you. God bless all of God's kingdom.